That's right up my alley.
There you go.
If you gave Zach Edey 10 uncontested threes, how many would he have?
In a game with people there, or an empty gym?
Let's say practice right now.
5.
5,
4 or 5.
4 or 5. How about in the game?
2.
2.
He's never done it before.
What would you do if he jacked up a 3?
How many points are we up?
I guess that.
That's hypothetical. People always say, do you foul or you don't foul? I'm like, how much time is it? They'll be like, and then they start to look around, and I answer that question, and I go, well, where's the ball? And they'll be like, so there's those theory questions, right?
So how many points would you have to be up before he could shoot a 3 and you wouldn't kill him?
I wouldn't encourage it just because he doesn't do it. Like, but yeah, I would.
All right, now to the real question.
Okay, there you go.
Hey, Matt, question for you. I was listening to Dockich on the way up here, and he's talking about Coach Cal, about basketball being kind of a year-round sport. Football has spring football. I mean, the NFL sucks up a lot of the oxygen. What's it like for you? I mean, some of these guys have been proposing, like, not necessarily year-round play, but just kind of attention to the sport. What do you think of that as one of the leaders?
Yeah, I think that if it should be there if you want to do it. I don't think it should be something in the summer that you have to. I like it with once every 4 years going on the international trip. And so if we can start to get some competition at that time to where, like, you get your 10 practices, you get your workouts, and then you have like a mini tournament somewhere that's going to be on TV. There's just such an open space for us to be able to play. I just don't want it mandated. I just think that a lot of what guys do as coaches and as players, you need to have that kind of a healthy time off at that time. But like once every 4 years, like we do with an international trip, I don't see why not.
Closing out games.
Yes.
It's been an issue the last couple of weeks. Just where's the focus on that, and is there a common thread there that can be corrected on?
Yeah, it's not really like when you go in and you play people that don't press and you're having issues. Like that's the main thing. Like when you go and face someone who's going to press you the whole time and get you there, run and jump or zone press you, you get a lot of prep work, from that. Our last couple games, we had those turnovers, but we really didn't have very many against Penn State. We step on the sideline in the half court. Mason catches the ball even though it's coming full court in the half court, and he flashes, and he ends up being a turnover and just gets killed. He gets fouled by 2 different people. He gets fouled by one guy multiple times. And then we had the costly one there at the end. We just simply didn't square up and look at our rim. We kept what Justice Suing did where we stole the ball from Ohio State at their game. We did the exact same thing. So when you catch the ball, you look at your rim. And people think, well, it's pretty common, sense that you would do that. But when you feel comfortable about catching the basketball and then just throwing it back to the inbounder, you turn your body that way. And when you open up and square, you have sideline, you have inbounder, you have middle, and you have long opposite. So you have 4 options. When you turn your body, you have 1 to possibly 2 options, and now they can just streak and get that steal. And that's obviously what happened right there. So it wasn't as bad. What's as bad is it's on top of each other. So you have a game where you struggle with it, then you have another game. So we break the press 2 different times against Rutgers. Then we got a guy who throws the ball across his body just coming up the court, and just 2 Rutgers. Then we have another where we dribble it and we've broken the press. Then we have a guy who just tries to dribble through 2 people, and then so it's not really the press that's doing it. It's more of kind of getting out of it and then people picking up the heat and then just not being fundamentally sound. So that's what we got to do. We got to be fundamentally sound. And then I wouldn't use the word relax, but we break it, and then problems are existing. So I don't have a great word to say like what's happening there, because it's multiple different things. But you just got to be fundamentally sound and make those plays.
Can Zach become an outlet for you guys?
He can, but what people will do if you do that is they will go match at that time. And I just don't know if it's good if Zach brings it up the court.
Not talking about
Yeah,
it, but
I understand that.
Getting it too.
But they would get it and they would match. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And so like now they would go and then deny those guys, and if they deny and he can't get it to one of them, you're in that trouble. But yeah, we run stuff for that. We actually ran in one of those games for him to come back, and he was open, then he just doesn't turn his head and see it. So but.
Is Fletcher's funk right now just a matter of shooting out of a slump a little bit?
Yeah, it's when you see it with young guys that got to go through it, and they get to the end, where just like he needs to get lift, in my opinion. As long as he can get his legs into it, I think that's more of the work than anything. But obviously he's a confident, guy, and he's just got to keep taking good shots. And I know it's frustrating for him more than anything because he's a really good shooter, one of the best shooters we've had here.
Matt, you win the Big Ten by 3 games, win the tournament. Is that something you personally have taken a moment to reflect on, or do you wait till the offseason?
Yeah, not really. Obviously it happens. You're aware that it happens, but you move to the next game, right? And so this is a little bit different for us because this is the first time we've had someone on the play-in game. So we've normally known our opponent at this time, and now we're kind of waiting for our opponent. And I'm that way in the Big Ten tournament. Our assistants go do a lot more of the prep work than I do. But I always go through there and I said, well, who do you guys all think is going to win this game? Then they all give the answer, and it's normally the same team. I said, well, then the other team's going to win. And so, a lot of our guys thought Michigan was going to win. I said, okay, then prepare for Rutgers, because then they're going to win. Whoever you guys think is going to win, the other team's winning. So I said the same thing to them after the word. I said, well, who do you guys think is going to win? They said, I said, okay, prepare for that other team then. That's part of getting on, getting on a neutral court and getting into a tournament format.
Coach, what are 3 keys to success that you might have as you guys look to move throughout the tournament?
Taking care of the basketball. The one thing that kind of bothers us is that we had a stretch in the Big Ten where we turned it over 17, 16, 17 times in a 3-game period. Then we go to the Big Ten tournament and we don't turn it over from a volume standpoint. It was just the costly turnovers and how we did it. And so that's what holds it. But our total turnover number was really good in the Big Ten tournament. So that's what they need to hear. They need to hear hey, we did some really good things taking care of the basketball. We just got to clean this up. And we got to be more fundamentally sound with it. Then the rebounding. We have an opportunity to dominate on the glass and get extra possessions, and that really comes into effect. We shoot the ball well from 3 in the first 2 games. In the last game we don't, because they overloaded Zach sometimes, and then we just got wide open shots. So no one's trying to miss shots, right? But if you can keep rebounding, you can keep getting more possessions on the glass, not letting them have second chance ones, and then getting a lot of second chance ones there. And then defensively, just grinding out defensively. I think we've done some really good things on the defensive end. We keep getting better defensively. The place where we haven't been good, which is it's a little bit different. It's a play on just the competitiveness of a game, not just a college game, but at any level when you get up. And so we keep getting ourselves in really good positions and playing well, then we don't finish those games. Some of it is not taking care of the ball, when people come and run and jump at us or press us or do different things. The other one's just not being able to make a wide open shot, and then the push the lead out. So when you compound that, where you're turning it over a little bit more and now you're missing shots, then the other team feels better about it. It's a lot easier to hit a shot down 18 than it is when the score's tied. And so people start to feel good about themselves, then they get their heads up. So just taking care of the basketball, rebounding the basketball, and then the connectivity on defense. We've really made some strides on defense, but we got to do it for 40 minutes.
So then you touched on a couple of those things that you're looking to improve with those 3 keys. Is there something that you think that you may have struggled with or been inconsistent about all season that you'd like to clean up ahead of the tournament?
Well, nothing gross, because we're 29-5. If we were 5-29, then this would be a long interview. But being 29-5, you still, when you win a lot of games, you're still having failures. You're still, maybe failures not the right word. You're still having some struggles with things. You're never going to be perfect in the game. So as a coach, I'd always keep something there. So that's something that we'll work on here today. We won't go very long, but we'll work on just taking care of the basketball. We'll work on different press scenarios and handling that stuff. But also, what you got to emphasize is a lot of the good things that's putting you in those positions. You don't want to get away from that. That isn't the focal point. The focal point is still what you're doing well to get in there. But no, not really. You are who you are at this time. You're not going to trick people. but they're not going to be as familiar with you as the people you've been playing too. So that's the beauty of it. That can work for you though, and that can work against you.
Hey Matt, I got a question for you. I saw you giving the pep talk to the baseball team early on before the season. I asked some of your players this today. So if the Cubs need a pitcher, are they calling up you? Or are they calling up Zach?
Zach. Yeah. I love baseball, but I wasn't any good at it. So he talks like he's pretty good. So like we'll just go with that notion that he's better than I am. So
You said several times you don't slip on a banana peel and get in the NCAA tournament. How much do you relay to these guys that these 216 seeds, they earn their way here, and you gotta respect them, or you're going to be a storyline for the wrong reasons?
yeah, there's a lot of things that jump out, and that's the reason I talked about before our game about, Penn State winning 4 games versus us trying to win 3 games. And if it mattered, then, we'd have won the tournament last year with Iowa, right? It doesn't matter, and so like as a 16 ever beat a 1, yes. As a 15 ever beat a 2, yes. And so like, don't worry about numbers, like worry about matchups, worry about styles of play, and also worry about yourself, like, just playing to your strengths. And so, that will get talked about, with our team. So since we just played on Sunday and a lot of things are going fast here, we haven't been able to, talk with our team yet about a lot of things, but all those things will get discussed.
Speaking of prep, you guys had a really good non-conference win Portland. How much of an advantage from a coach's perspective is having Edie on your team and other teams having to figure out how to play him in one day?
Right, and the thing with that from our guys that play with him, I think they've done a superior job of understanding how to get him the basketball and being patient and just kind of knowing what the defense is trying to do and what they're trying to take away. So we've gotten better with that since that moment. But I compare it to a team that's different than everybody else. Sometimes it takes you about a half to adjust. Like we're hoping it takes about 3/4 of a game, right? A whole game. But it just does. Like when you deal with somebody that's very unique and different, or a system that's very different and unique, you can talk, you can watch film, but the actual real life reps, until you get there. So hopefully that will be an advantage for us.
Hey Matt, I talked to Carson today. I did an interview, kind of a life of a walk-on. Okay, what's it like? I mean, you've got these guys on your team. I've asked you questions through the years about how important these guys are to the team. But what's the Carson Barrett, the Tommy Lewis? What do those guys mean to your program?
Right.
To be part of this, to be part of this team.
Yeah, they mean everything to your program. I mean, they help you get ready, whether they're running the scout team stuff offensively or whether they're guarding you in practice. Carson's a good player. Like Carson could have played, Division I basketball. Carson could obviously had Division II offers. He's improved his athleticism. He's really works. He's a student of the game. Why he wants to go into coaching, I have no idea. But he wants to go into coaching. So we're going to try to talk him out of it. And if we can't, then we'll embrace him. But not until we go through that formality. But no, he's very intelligent. He's very competitive. He knows what's going on. He'll make for a good coach, but he's really helped us. But he's a player too. Like he's a real player. He's the guy that, if we were shorthanded or we got in foul trouble or we had injuries, you could put him in the game and feel good about it.
Coach, what's different about this team, just coaching this team than previous teams you've coached here at Purdue?
Well, this team, in comparison, is better defensively than last year's team. We've had other teams that, you can hang your hat on the offense, you can hang your hat on the defense, and the other one's a little bit less. I think we have pretty good balance with this team. We have an efficient offensive approach. We have guys that understand how to play. Defensively, we've really made strides. So I would say that's what's better about this team, is just the overall balance offensively and defensively.
And what's your favorite part about coaching this group of guys?
Just their coachability. I mean, everybody is sacrificed. Everybody's pretty selfless. And obviously we have a marquee player, and our guys were good with it. They accept that. Sometimes there's some jealousy and stuff, and there's none of that on this team. These guys all pull for each other. And it's hard too, especially if you're the guy that, doesn't play as much or gets taken out of a starting lineup. Everybody kind of embraces and helps people, and that's what a team's all about.
Going back to Fletcher, obviously he's been a key piece in this team getting to this point in the season. But when he does struggle, and just his ability to stay locked in his role, and even when other guys are having success, just how much does that speak to his maturity, especially as a freshman?
Yeah, he understands things. He's very aware. There's guys that you coach that you got to repeat things over and over to. He's a guy that picks up on things, but he's listening. He's trying to take everything in, and anytime when you can shoot and you struggle shooting, it's very frustrating. Like if you're a terrible golfer and you go out and you shoot a 104, like it's kind of expected, right? But if like you're a really good golfer and you're scratch and you shoot a 104, like you're gonna be losing your mind. You're gonna be breaking clubs and cussing and acting like a fool. He's a really good shooter and a really good player. So when he's had some of those struggles shooting the basketball, you just stay positive and tell him to keep taking good ones. Now, if he takes bad ones, you got to talk about it, right? But for the most part, he's taken good shots and made pretty good decisions, and you got to play through it. You got to stay process-based, and you can't hesitate. And he hasn't. Like, when he's gotten his looks, he's taken them, and if not, he's done a good job of moving the ball and just kind of understanding what's going on.
Matt, what do you say about the women's basketball team? I mean, here they are. They're going to be in Columbus playing game. How exciting is that for Purdue fans to get out and support them?
Well, I think that's what's cool about it, that we're both going to be in Columbus, and our fans get to go and see us play and see them play. And but no, happy for Katie and being able to get to the tournament, and I think she's done a fabulous job with this team, and just keep going. Like anything can happen. VCU, when they beat us in the tournament, they were in the play-in game. They end up winning 5 games and going to the Final Four, and it can happen. Anything can happen when you get in the tournament and get on that neutral court.
Yeah, how confident are you in your freshman backcourt coming into the tournament?
Very confident. I think they've played really well, and obviously when you're 29-5 and that's what you've started all year, like you feel good about that. Those guys aren't freshmen. You can say they haven't played in the NCAA tournament, but they've been on a neutral court against West Virginia, Duke, Gonzaga, Rutgers, Davidson, Ohio State. Like, the beat goes on. Like, they have a lot of experience, even though they're still just finishing up, their last year. And that's what they got to be able to do, is just keep doing what they've been doing and keep playing with confidence.